What does it mean to exist? I mean, to truly exist. Is it the physical tactile sensation of the body or the manifestation of the soul? If your mind was uploaded to a network and essentially reduced to code, would you consider that existence? Some would argue no. You would just essentially be an advanced AI. But how would you feel about it? If it was your mind, a copy of yourself, placed into a different foreign body, would you consider it existence? Would the same morality apply to that body as if you were still in your original body? Would you treat yourself differently? Would you expect others to treat that you differently? What if you die and that copy of yourself lives on? What then? Is it you? Or is it something entirely different? These questions are at the center of SOMA's story. Morality and existence are blended and questioned by choices. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into when I started SOMA. As a practitioner of philosophy, it seems easy to dismiss this as just a video game, if you will. But if you take the moral dilemmas and reflect on them as if they were real, what does it say about you? Are you truly as moral as you like to believe? What does it mean to believe in your own value system and contrast that against others' value systems? SOMA opens up like all other video games do, with a cutscene. We are introduced to Simon driving down the road with his girlfriend, friend. The game doesn't really elaborate. Regardless, Simon is driving down the road with his friend, maybe girlfriend, Ashley, when tragedy strikes and they get into a car accident. The game doesn't really go into detail about how the accident came about during this cutscene, but that's ultimately not important. The screen cuts to black, and in the next scene, we are in Simon's apartment. It is revealed that the previous cutscene was a dream, but a dream about the night of the accident. The only thing to take away from this is that the crash left Simon with permanent brain damage and a much shorter lifespan than expected. He's calling to remind Simon that he's scheduled for a brain scan. Munchie also reminds us to drink something called the tracer fluid so he can get a better image of the damages, whatever that means. This game introduces us to the first, puzzle of the game. This game does not hold your hand at all. There is no real HUD, no objective markers present. So basically, the point is to kind of stumble about this room, learning how the mechanics work, which I found to be really interesting. So how it kind of works is you walk up to, let's say, like a drawer or a door or something, and you have to hold the mouse button while moving it around to essentially open a door in real life. It's quite interesting, actually. It reminds me a lot of like the Half-Life kind of source engine physics. There are also notes strewn across the apartments that give a look into Simon's life, pictures of places traveled, DVDs of movies, and an overall sense of coziness that I didn't expect from a horror game to open with. Stumbling through the apartment, you can kind of find out what happened to Simon during the accident. There's a newspaper clip cut out from a newspaper on his desk. As Simon and Ashley were crossing an intersection, a distracted driver blew through the light and sadly crashed into them, killing Ashley almost instantly. The reason this happened was because it was a family, and the mother was distracted by her children, and she just blew through the light, just killed him. Well, killed her, I guess. The mother claims it was practically unavoidable, which we all know is a bunch of bullshit. The last thing I'll say about this is stop driving distracted children. We all know it's bad, and shit like this can happen. Anyway, in the drawers of this desk, we finally find the tracer fluid. We drink it and head out the door to our appointment with David Munchie. After finding Munchie, they banter back and forth a bit about the accident and kind of what David Munchie wants to do with this brain scan, and he wants to essentially use it to kind of rebuild parts of Simon's brain. As Simon sits down, a giant machine closes around his head, and Munchie reassures him that it's just like taking a picture. Simon jokes back that the Native Americans believed cameras steal a person's soul. What Simon didn't understand is that this would be very close to that idea. As Munchie takes Simon's brain scan, a bright flash of light happens, and Simon wakes up in a dark, unfamiliar room. With a single switch slightly illuminated across the room, Simon flicks on the lights to reveal that not only is he not in the same room as he was before with Munchie? But he's also not even in Toronto. This room is cold, not only in temperature, I'm sure, but also in design. Everything is metallic, with server lights making the ambience ominous and disconnected. A brutalist architecture, if you will. As we explore the room, we notice what looks like to be diving suits attached to the wall, adding more mystery to exactly where Simon ended up in. The atmosphere has a subtle horror element with deep, ambiguous banging sounds coming from somewhere within, I'm going to call it a facility for now. The droning music adds to the tension. This subtle horror will be prevalent throughout the entire run of SOMA. As we explore the room, we find a service console requiring something called an Omni tool to access. Turning left, we find the door leading out of the room is locked. However, right next to the door is a window that is heavily cracked, looking like any sort of weight would shatter it into pieces. So I found the heaviest thing I could and promptly threw it through the window. This is where SOMA's physics engine ties into its gameplay. There will be a couple more scenarios exactly like this scattered throughout the game that almost require the same solution. After climbing through the broken window, we enter into a hallway bereft of light.
Bereft of light.
One thing about Soma is that it's extremely dark, not just in its themes of philosophy, but like actually physically dark. Like you can't see anything. The low light adds a feeling of dread to every little part of the exploration. You feel this constant fear, like something is going to be jumping out of the dark at you. As we explore this floor, the game guides you in a linear direction. There are access to some side rooms, but there's really no reason to go into them other than to add to the terrifying ambience. As I entered one room, what I thought was screen tearing happening, like across, I thought VSync maybe had to be turned on or something, only to realize that this was kind of intentional. It's like an intentional visual distortion, appearing almost like a glitch in a camera, if you will. At this point, I was unsure what was causing it, but I knew something was going on, but we will get into that later. In the same room, however, are machines hanging from the ceiling. You can interact with one of them to access like an audio log, I guess, of sorts. In other games, you walk by like a tape on the ground or something, you pick it up and it plays. Oh, and it tells you exactly what, happened here and what and who's involved and blah blah blah. But that's not how it works in Soma. You seem to connect with the machines and hear it play in your head telepathically. This part will be explained later in the story, so I'm not going to get into it now. Eventually, we make our way into a larger room with locked gates throughout the middle. It's kind of a weird room. Like it seems like you would be able to just kind of walk through the room, but they put up gates to almost deter something. These gates guide you around until you walk by your first jump scare. There's a locked door on your left, and as you walk by, all of a sudden you hear something banging on the other side and scratching and screaming. Nope. 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 It's quite I'm not okay, let's just get into this right now. I'm not one to really like jump scares, or I like survival horror games like Resident Evil, but this is my first kind of like survival horror game where you don't fight, you run and hide. And I thought when I started this I wasn't going to enjoy that element, and parts of it I didn't. I'll be honest now. But I actually really ended up enjoying kind of the using your brain instead of just mindlessly killing everything or mindlessly, it's you actually have to think. You have to use your mind. You can hear screaming and scratching coming from the other side of the door. As the scream fades, though, you can actually open this door and check out what's on the other side. After opening the door, you realize that whatever was causing this commotion is just gone. The game clearly shows you that there is something down here with you. What that thing is, though, you'll just have to wait and find out. As you explore the empty room, you find the Omni tool sitting on the desk. Remember, we need the Omni tool to interact with that console in the first room. So we make our way back. Interacting with the console, you are prompted to update the Omni tool with a tool chip, which the console graciously provides. This will be the only time a console will graciously provide the next step in moving forward with the story. After updating the Omni tool, you can open a door that leads you into your next area. As the door opens, it is revealed that not only are you not in Toronto, as previously mentioned, but you're also in a facility that is deep, and I mean deep under the ocean. This adds more confusion as to what exactly happened after the brain scan Munchie did. Oh, I'm gonna get into this real quick. This is the perfect time to get into this. So as we walked into this hallway and I looked up, right, and you could just see the vastness of the ocean. I have, and I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep water or of like giant things. And this affects me not just in like real life. Like I mean, real life, it's really terrifying, right? But like even in video games. And I played Sea of Thieves with my friends, and in that, for example, there's situations where you have to go underwater. Well, there's a lot of situations where you have to go underwater, but originally at launch, it was just to search wrecked ships and like get cargo for them and stuff. I can't even do that, right? Like I start panicking and I get sweaty and so when I walked out into that hallway and realized this was underwater, a part of me was genuinely terrified for what was coming next. Anyway, rant over. Crossing through the tube, you enter into a room that can only be described as like a healing station. We're gonna run into a lot of these where Simon has to. I mean, the only way of like I could describe this is like there's a. You know what? I'm just gonna show you why he's going around fisting holes. I don't know. Shortly after this, the game wants you to crawl through some vents, which this game was like made to terrify me because I also have claustrophobia. I do not like tight, small spaces. So not only are we combining the thalassophobia with the claustrophobia, I don't know. It was just terrifying. After exiting the vent, we enter in a room that has what appears to be some kind of robot on the floor, oozing with boils popping out of his circuitry and tendrils running through him as if like he was infected with something. Along with the boils, he also has these tentacle like arms that are attached to a computer. He appears to be draining the power out of the system. So we remove the tentacles, and the robot essentially dies. I say die because as you start pulling the first tentacle, the robot speaks to you. And not just like a normal beep boop bop robot voice, but like a human. Like a human sounding person in there. The terrifying gasp it makes you second guess whether this robot is truly alive or not. And as you pull the second one out, it, the robot the sounds it makes is like essentially a death gurgle. Uh, I think I just killed her. And if you've ever heard in other video games, that's what it sounds like, but it's coming from the robot laying on the ground. This is the first instance of existentialism in this game. But don't worry, there will be far, far more challenging choices up ahead. Once again, this part here uses the physics engine to its full capabilities. Because it wasn't painfully obvious what to do, right? So you're wandering around the room looking for a way to turn on the lights. As you make your way around, you look at the console and you see these three buttons. I mean, looking back now, it was kind of more painfully obvious, but you're supposed to essentially time the first button press with the second button press to then allow the third button to be well pressed and then turn on all the lights in the room. This game really doesn't hold your hand. And especially when, in this 2026, a lot of AAA games just really think we're idiots and can't figure stuff out for ourselves. So I really enjoy the fact that SOMA didn't hold my hand basically throughout the entire game. As the room powers up, you hear a voice come through the radio. It's a woman, and she informs you that you are probably in somewhere called the thermal plant. She tells you it's hard to keep a signal and wants you to head upstairs to the comm room. As you enter into the next room, you are introduced to your first enemy of the game. As this is a survival horror game, there is no real combat. The only thing you can do is hide and eventually sneak around. Making your way upstairs, you enter into another dark room, but the power kicks on almost immediately as you explore. As you explore the room, you find another healing station, which takes out the lights. Apparently, these healing stations are powering certain parts of the station, allowing essentially energy to pass through them. So, whenever you use them, you drain them of their power, basically. Entering the adjacent room, you find another robot on a conveyor belt, but this one is more coherent and it speaks. His inform you his name is Carl, which is hilarious to me. I don't know why. Carl the robot. And he has been injured. This is where the game starts to kind of open up about what's going on here. Carl thinks he is a human. After arguing with Carl a bit, Simon decides to try and find some help for him. Well, at least that's what I think you were supposed to do. What I mean is I walked to the other side of the room and there was a switch there and I figured, I had to flip it to move forward. It's right, video game logic. Flipping the switch though causes Carl to start screaming. And he eventually just dies. To be honest, this is when I started to understand that my actions had consequences. So going forward, I was much more aware of what I was doing, which I believe is intentional on the developer's part. Leaving Carl to his demise, I entered into a hallway which has our first actual human corpse in it. On this corpse, we find an ID badge. Well, this ID badge belonged to Carl. Oops. Along with his name is Carl's ID number, which can be used to unlock the computer in the previous room. Unlocking the computer shows you how to convert power to the comms room door. So heading down the hallway past Carl's body brings you to a generator with a note left on it. Ominous indeed. For shutting down the power from the generator, we make our way back to the comms room door. Entering into the main computer room, we see the monster from downstairs has made his way up here and is blocking our path again. After successfully sneaking past the monster, we enter into the comm station. Entering into the comm station is an interesting place. You can start finding what looks like to be notes left on a whiteboard. And it kind of starts to open up onto the greater mystery of what's going on the surface. They don't go into a lot of detail here, but it's something about a comet crashing into the Earth and killing everyone. So it seems like the only people on this station may be the only humans left on the planet. More on that later, of course. As we interact with the communications console, it seems to have multiple points of contact, all deriving from the Greek alphabet. We are an upsilon, but it seems that most communications are down between stations. At this point, we reach out to site Lambda and are introduced to the woman who was talking to us earlier, Catherine. Immediately, I knew something was weird about her. Her image appeared static, while her tone is so strangely nonchalant for the situation both her and Simon are in.
Hi, Simon. I'm Catherine. Have you figured out what's going on yet?
Catherine informs Simon that the whole entire facilities where they're located in is called Pathos 2. More on that later, of course. After talking for a bit, the room starts to violently shake, and Catherine tells Simon to find his way to Site Lambda via a shuttle train connecting all the sites. As the room collapses under the pressure of the deep ocean, the screen goes black. Terrifying, I know. So I'm gonna just go into this now since the game doesn't really overtly go talk about it, but basically what happened is we are in the future from when Simon got his brain scanned. That was back in 2015. I think this is like 21. I don't remember the exact date, but where it's like almost 80 years later or something. The world has ended. A comet came down, wiped the surface, and all that's left is basically Pathos 2 in terms of humanity. It's quite a tragic end to our species. Anyway, back to the story. After the cave-in, Simon wakes up shortly after, completely underwater, but still in the comm center. He looks down at his arms as they seem to transform from his normal human skin into something more akin to Well, a diving suit. I want to point out also that Simon has those strange boils on his arms like the robots found in earlier room. We make our way outside and onto the ocean surface. Yep. Yeah, we got to go outside. This part really started messing with me, man. More than the jump scares, more than the subtle horror, my thalassophobia was in full effect. Above Simon is just pure darkness. I mean, no light at all, meaning we are very deep underwater. Walking along the surface, we run into a strange robot. This one isn't as like violent or clearly um aggressive as the other one. He seems to be muttering incoherently to himself until we come into view. As he gets closer and closer, the screen starts to have that strange glitching effect we talked about earlier. I figured this was a warning sign, so I just avoided him and kept moving. As we come closer to a shuttle station door connected to another part of Upsilon by following the lights, we find another little autonomous robot trapped under some rocks. We free him and he appears friendly. The first friendly robot we've met so far. He proceeds to follow you around the surface until you reach the shuttle bay door. At this point, you realize the door has been rusted shut due to the corrosive nature of seawater. Little guy, I'm calling him little guy or friend or buddy or whatever, makes his way towards the door and uses what looks like a blowtorch essentially attached to him. He opens the door and then he just swims away. Goes on with his day as if he wasn't trapped in an underwater hellscape to begin with. Entering the facility, we run into the shuttle mentioned by Catherine. However, there's no power. We have to follow the course down a hallway until we enter into a room with a horrifying scene, to say the least. Describing doesn't do it justice, so I will just show you. Oh. What the fuck? This is when the themes of morality come into play. Amy seems to be strapped into an organic heart, lung thing that's keeping her alive. She's terrified, unsure what to do next. We're presented with a conundrum here. Unplug Amy, effectively killing her to restore power to the shuttle so we can progress. Looking at the situation, I pulled the first plug thing, tendril, whatever they are, out, which seemed to restore some of the power. Amy, however, groans in pain. This caused me to pause, and I talked to her again. She is still alive, so I left her thinking eventually I could come back and rescue her. Looking back now, killing her may have been the mercy. But did I have the right to make that call? Did I? I mean, does anyone have a right to take anybody else's life? It's a moral conundrum, to be sure. Leaving her in the dark alone is its own issue, but killing her outright is a permanent solution. What if she could have been helped? I just didn't know yet. So I made my way back to the shuttle, still wondering about Amy and what could have been done. We board the shuttle and set off to Lambda, potentially leaving Amy to her fate forever. As I'm writing this script, it doesn't and it didn't feel right leaving her there. Placing myself in Amy's shoes, I'd want someone to end my suffering, but I know other people would want to continue living in the off chance that they could be saved. It truly is a beautifully crafted moral conundrum that I am sure outcomes differ from player to player. Making our way onto the shuttle, we are informed that insufficient power could be dangerous to our journey, but I pushed forward anyway. I wasn't going to go back down the hallway to unplug the other tendril just to ensure my safety. It felt wrong. Anyway, as the shuttle starts moving, a screen is lowered in front of Simon, and we get what appears to be an introductory video of what Pathos 2 is. Pathos 2 is a giant facility that essentially houses a underwater space gun. Their words, not mine.
Welcome to Pathos 2, your expressway to the stars. What started as a thermal mining operation in the 60s has now become home to the Omega space gun, the world's
Space
most affordable
gun.
way to launch satellites and deep space probes. Our unique Atlantic Ocean location allows for this gigantic coil gun, running longer than a marathon, to safely launch projectiles without risk of damaging the payload with risky combustion. The station spans multiple sites and has a diverse staff of engineers and scientists. Together, they are able to produce, assemble, and launch the world's most sophisticated spacecraft. In addition to our principal operation, Pathos 2 is also the home for multiple research projects within the marine sciences, including hydroculture, turbulence, and deep sea construction. We are now leaving Upsilon for Lambda. Lambda is Pathos 2's shipping dock and transportation hub. There, you will be able to find shuttle trains leading to all the other parts of the station.
As we are traveling down the tube, all of a sudden the lights cut out and the shuttle is derailed and crashes. Simon wakes up, opens the emergency hatch, and makes his way down the tube on foot. Walking down the tube, we find a comm station and inform Catherine about the crash. She lets Simon know that he is close to Lambda and he can make the rest of the journey on foot, but will have to go back outside through a maintenance hatch. Yep, back outside. Making our way outside, we walk the rest of the distance to Lambda on the ocean floor. Once again, really creepy, and I just have to say, I do not like these sections. I know that's more of a personal thing. They're not badly designed. They're not they're not confusing. They're actually pretty clear on where to go. They're just terrifying for me. As we close in on Lambda's doors, we can see what looks like to be an underwater vehicle kind of close to the station. I walked in there just to check it out, but it didn't have any power. I'm sure we'll make our way back here eventually, so I move back to Lambda. The door opens and we enter the station. Once we enter Lambda, we are met with the same darkness that permeates the rest of the setting. Making our way down the hallway, well, I'll just show you. Oh, what the fuck was that?
Catherine?
Don't look at it. What is it? What is it? I'm sorry. Oh, God! Scared the... I don't know what the hell that is, but so many eyes? No. Why is it gotta have so many eyes? After waking up from this scene, we walk into the next room and we're introduced to Catherine. I'm saying Catherine strangely because she's just a robot sitting on the ground, because of course she is. After Simon and her banter back and forth about whether or not Simon is a robot, which he kind of has like a little bit of an existential. I'm having an existential crisis. After Simon and her banter back and forth about whether Simon is a robot or not, she informs him that he looks like a walking, talking diving suit with electronics slapped on for good measure. This was kind of shown earlier, but it's really reinforced by somebody else telling Simon what he looks like. I found that to be compelling, because I mean, this whole time we thought we were just Simon, which I guess we are still Simon, but I mean, that's a deeper discussion, right? This sends Simon into a quick kind of existential crisis, but Catherine is able to pull him out of it quickly. Catherine mentioned something about her project that she's been working on. The project is an ARC, the survival of humanity. It has brain scans uploaded to it that she wants to launch into space, effectively kind of saving what's left of humanity. Once again, remember, this is the future. It's not really overtly stated by anyone, but it's kind of left in audio recordings and notes kind of strewn throughout Pathos 2, letting you kind of put the story together yourself. No hand-holding. But I kind of like that. I mean, it's not, I'm going to say this loosely, it's reminiscent of like the Souls game where there's a lot of environmental storytelling and you kind of have to put the pieces together by reading all the notes and listening to audio recordings, which I normally don't do in video games, right? Like most video games are so good. Good's a strong word. Most video games are very efficient in the way that they tell their stories by basically just telling you them through either NPCs or a narrator or whatever. This game doesn't have any of that. You have to put everything together yourself, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that concept of like finding little pieces, little puzzle pieces throughout the game. Like you find one mystery and then you're like, well, that doesn't make you're like I don't understand what happened here. And as you kind of explore more, you find the next little piece and you're like, oh, that's what happened. So it's we're in the future and the world's over. And now we're building an ark because they want to, try and save what's left of humanity. Find that to be really interesting. Anyway, back to the story. After uploading Catherine's Cortex chip, which I believe is like essentially her brain, to the Omni tool. After uploading Catherine's Cortex chip, which is, I believe, essentially her brain, Simon and her come up with a plan to finalize the ark and launch it into space. But this requires reaching Site Tau in a place known as the Abyss. Terrifying name, I know. Simon agrees with the payout that he will also be uploaded onto the Ark and launched into space with everyone else. First step along the journey to Tau is to reach Theta, another part of the station that has diving equipment required to enter the Abyss. After picking up the Omni tool with Catherine's consciousness stored inside, weird sentence to say, we head back out of the way we came and attempt to drive the underwater vehicle we found earlier. After finding out the pod is useless, Catherine mentions that it came from a ship called Curie. Apparently, it was a ship that was used to make supply runs between Lambda and Lisbon. Regardless, the wreckage is close by, and Catherine thinks Simon might be able to find another working pod that can make the journey. So, back into the dark we go. This part here was quite terrifying because the weird eye thing from Lambda just kind of jump scares you the whole way through while you're underwater, which I'm already terrified of the deep ocean, and so to add that was a nice touch. Making our way to Curie, we run into the monster that attacked us earlier, but he just seems to kind of show up and leave without really doing anything. Making our way through one part of the wreck, we're dumped back onto the ocean floor for a quick jaunt to find the main section of Curie. This part really kind of fucked with me because you can see not only are you deep underwater, but I like the fear of like overly large things. You can see the wreckage of Curie sticking out of the ocean floor, and it's massive. It's huge. And it looks like a giant ominous tower, essentially. It's quite, yeah, shivers down my spine and all that. Making our way onto the Curie, we enter into a kind of a cat and mouse type game with the monster. This section was actually really cool. It has a lot of doors that have to be opened manually, which gives, let's call him Frank. Yeah, Frank. It gives Frank an opportunity to chase you with the added tension of having to deal with the doors, right? So you'll be running away, and if you don't open all the doors on your way through and you want to hide, not only do you have to, you know, take the time to open the doors manually, then you have to find a place to hide, hopefully in that room. Not only is Frank terrifying, it's so dark in these sections that it's easy enough to get turned around or lose your way. It's well crafted, and the hallways are so narrow that you're kind of left to, you have to hide because usually he's standing in your way of progressing. So you have to lure him away from that hallway to then run down the hallway that he came from. After losing Frank the first time, we enter what appears to be the bridge of the ship with a recording playing on loop from the captain.
Curie is safe while submerged. The crew, what's left of it, is doing okay. For the rest of the world, there's no good way to describe it. The destruction is absolute. The surface is just gone.
What it sounds like, the Curie was still functional when the comet hit, and I couldn't even imagine being in that situation. Trapped underwater, knowing the surface above is just gone, completely and utterly destroyed. And for all the captain knew, they were the last humans on the planet. It's just unfathomable to think about. So when I was making my way through the ship, there was a point where you could go straight down the hallway or turn right. Turning right would bring you to the pod that you would use to escape. But I didn't go that way first. I just went straight down the hallway, which brought me to the reactor room. I just started, I mean, I figured, I used my gaming brain, right? And just started unplugging things because that's what monkey brain gamers do, right? I think what was supposed to happen originally was I was supposed to enter the pod and find out I couldn't use it due to some energy being dragged away from it to the reactor room. But I digress. After unplugging the last tendril from the reactor, Frank is back and makes his presence known again. He chases us all the way back to the escape pod. I'm going to be honest. Like I said before, I wasn't sure where I was going, so I just followed the blinking red lights on the ground because I figured visual cue. I don't know. I'll just show you what happened. Oh, God. Of course. Of fucking course.
Reactor collapse imminent. Proceed to the emergency business.
Okay. I don't know where that is, so we're just gonna... Oh my God. Follow the red. Follow the red. Follow the red. Follow the red. Go down. Follow the red. Follow the red. Follow the red. The red. The red. The red. Follow the red. The red. The red. Follow it. I don't know where I'm going. Oh God. Is this the way?
Huh? What the hell happened here? What are all these emergency...
Oh.
What did you do?
I messed up, okay? Can you get us out of here?
Yes, I just need to pump the water.
During our daring escape from the Curie, Catherine mentioned something about the WoW. The WoW is like a rogue AI. And Catherine mentioned something about it being like more like a cancer than like having actual intelligence, which makes sense when you look at all the boils and the weird tendrils. They look like cancer cells, if you've ever seen one in person. During Catherine's explanation, the Curie explodes, sending a shockwave that knocks the pod off course. This causes the pod to crash on the ocean floor somewhere close to Delta, knocking Simon out. Simon gets knocked out a lot in this game. Like, massive head trauma all the time. After Simon wakes up, we find ourselves trapped inside the pod. Picking up the Omni tool, we try to open the door to escape, but it seems jammed. All of a sudden, Buddy is back, and he starts cutting through the door. The door opens to reveal, hey, it's Friend. This was a welcome sight for sure. Traveling with, let's call him Timmy. Traveling with Timmy made the ocean floor a little bit more bearable for me. After making our way out of the wreckage, we come across what appears to be another sentient robot, albeit this one seems a little out of it. It's kind of hard to explain. He's not aggressive like some of the other ones, but he's also not present, which is weird. He's just kind of rambling and swimming around as if with no purpose, really. Moving forward, we reach what looks like a control room. Timmy graciously opens the door for us. Thank you, Timmy. There's nothing really in here except another audio log on a dead body. This audio log is the intro to how malicious the WoW seems to be. We find some emails and audio logs here that I believe are from Frank. The game doesn't overtly say, but that's kind of what I picked up, at least from it. It was from when Frank was still human before the WoW turned him into whatever he is now. His name was Terry Ackers, and from what I could gather from the scripts, he seemed to be in charge of Delta before the WoW went berserk and started trying to integrate everything. The logs tell a story of his downward spiral into madness.
You saw that, right? You saw Akers fucking injecting that shit into them?
He got me pretty bad.
I think I made it worse pulling away. I can feel it bleeding out. Can you see him?
Fuck. He got on the Zeppelin. He's going back to Theta. We have to warn them.
Good luck with that. The platform radio is dead, remember?
The Lumar Annex should work. It has to.
Yeah. You go. I'm not gonna make it. I'm just not.
Come on, Evans. We have to warn them. Come on.
After messing around outside, I figured out we can call a Zeppelin over to the station we're at. This should be the key to reaching Theta. As the Zeppelin lands at Delta, we plug in the Omni tool and, by extension, Catherine into the computer. After plugging Catherine in, she informs us that the tool chip is busted in the Omni tool and we need to replace it. After discussing where they could find a replacement, Catherine suggests we just take it from the robot, the weird robot that's wandering around and seems senile. Her nonchalantness about wanting to essentially kill someone is unsettling, to say the least. She states that it's just a robot, which Simon retorts with, "We are robots," sort of. Either way, Simon takes the stun baton from the crate nearby and we make our way back. Killing this robot didn't feel right. It was kind of fucked up, to be honest, and it's just better if I just show you. But he's like, it can exist, though, doesn't he?
Brandon, did you move the car?
Oh, come on.
This is kind of fucked up. Well, that was kind of fucked up.
I hope this works.
After killing the robot, we make our way back to Catherine and replace the tool chip. Catherine just tries to kind of wave away the fact they ended a life for their own gain, which, I mean, is a very common thread for her. We'll see throughout this whole game. She's kind of a sociopath. This opens up the conversation between them about how Simon is starting to finally accept the fact that he's a robot. Kind of. It is a moment of deep existentialism that is portrayed quite beautifully, actually.
Present.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's fine.
Was he really that different from us? It's just beginning to sink in. I mean, really sink in. I'm a robot.
Didn't we cover this already?
Guess I've known ever since I woke up at Upsilon. I just keep suppressing it. Like my brain doesn't want me to think about it. It's really getting hard not to think about it.
Yeah. Could you maybe hit that switch over there so we can get moving?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Catherine is Catherine's kind of a bitch. Her nonchalant attitude about the whole situation really irked me in a way that made me strongly dislike her throughout the rest of the game. I guess it boils down to a difference in values and morality. She views her mission of launching the Ark as the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters. No life, no existence is more important than this. Her sociopathy is nauseating, to say the least. Simon's comments about being stuck between awareness and ignorance is compelling to me.
And then we can start listening to other people when they talk, because that's how conversations work.
What? Oh, sorry. I just can't stop thinking about what we've become. It's clear that we're no longer human. But then how can I feel like Simon? How can I feel like anything at all? I mean, technically, I don't have any ears, no mouth. Christ, that's a weird thing to think about. I mean, I'm making sounds. I'm still saying things.
You sure are. Okay. Your new body most likely has senses similar to those you had as a human. And your mind, only knowing one way to perceive the world, superimposes that skill set on top of your new features.
So my mind is covering it up, pretending nothing's different.
If it didn't, you'd probably be incapable of interacting with the world at all. And the stress would either kill you or make you go insane.
So I've found a good balance between awareness and ignorance. Does that mean I shouldn't think about this stuff, or are my thoughts actually making me cope?
I'm a person that tends to be pretty black and white, but I also know that life is a constant collage of grays, morality, existence. How many people just wander through life ignoring the things they can't change, but are also painfully aware of them? For some, that's enough to drive them crazy. For others, it's just another Tuesday. Catherine says they have real things to deal with, like saving mankind. But if mankind is just a bunch of consciousnesses uploaded to what is essentially a virtual world, are they really mankind anymore? Is it worth throwing out your values and moral compass for what is essentially a bunch of code stored on a machine? I guess if the rest of humanity is dead, Are they the new mankind? Are they the next evolutional stage of existence? Can you even call it existence? All nuance is essentially gone because everything is predetermined by code. Can you evolve your mindset past the point of being uploaded? Can you change, or are you stuck at that one moment that you were uploaded? It's a conundrum for sure. To me, it sounds like hell. I'd rather die than not be able to absorb new stimuli or be able to challenge my biases. To others, as long as they are alive, and I am putting that in air quotes, that is all that matters. But I challenge that by saying, are you even really alive if you can't go through the parts of life that manifest existence? Sadness, trauma, joy. These are things that help us grow as humans and mold our beliefs and values. These stimuli change as time passes, and the concept of time wouldn't even exist anymore in a virtual world. So we would, in theory, be the same person we were when we were uploaded for all eternity. That sounds insane to me. I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment and we can discuss it. Here are my thoughts in the moment. What an insane game so far, though. The themes of like existentialism and like they comprehend that like they were human, but now they're not, but still kind of. It's weird because it's like this. They're almost like really advanced AIs, but with a human brain. It kind of reminds me of Pantheon. How like instead of having artificial intelligence be the like kind of powers that be, it was like humans uploaded, it was like human consciousness uploaded into a digital network, but this time it's like human consciousness uploaded into a physical robot body. So it's somewhere between existence and not, which is interesting. Catherine's kind of a bitch, though. I guess no matter her human body, she still has like the like sociopathy of a human scientist is basically what she was like giving off. She only kind of really cares about her experiment or her arc or whatever, which is an interesting kind of concept that I mean, is it the fact that because she's a robot, she doesn't care about like human emotions anymore, or was she always like that, and the robot body is just a new plane of existence for her? It's weird. I wonder what Jean-Paul Sartre would think about this game if he was still alive. Is he still alive? Is he still alive? I don't think he's still alive. Speaking of which, I stream a lot of this stuff. I'm not the best live streamer, I'll be honest, but I will let people know that I'm streaming games that I'm actually going to be making a video out of. Sometimes I just stream games because I just like playing them. But this was I do stream these things, so check it out next time I'm live. All right, moving on. Theta from the outside looks like a huge compound. I mean, huge. It appears to be built into the side of an underwater cliff. Opening the door, Simon heads in and we carefully make our way into the control room. Does this work like it did in the beginning? Yes, it did. Plugging Catherine in, she powers up the station. Her and Simon have another quick conversation about what the inside of the Ark is like. Catherine says it's like real life, but better, whatever. But I wonder the validity of that statement. To be honest, at this point, I took everything Catherine said with a grain of salt. She's just such a... Ugh. Catherine reveals the Dunbot. At this point, Catherine reveals the Dunbot, an underwater vehicle capable of reaching the abyss. However, she also informs us that it's currently locked under quarantine due to be infected by the WoW. We need to find a security cipher to lift the quarantine. In order to do this, Catherine wants us to run a simulation of one of the crew members that would have the cipher. Leaving the control center and walking across the big room, we enter into the first door on our left and find what appears to be the barracks or some sort of living area. Interacting with the healing station, fingering more holes, Catherine informs us that every time we do that, we are linking up to the WoW, further confirming that the tendrils and cancer like growth is the WoW going ballistic across the station. Walking into the bathroom area, we can interact with the mirror and get our first look into what Simon looks like now. Catherine was not kidding when she said we look like a diving suit with some electronics slapped on. Exploring the bedrooms, we find traces of normality. Pictures hanging on the walls of families already gone. Journals and writings from researchers whose location is currently unknown. Making our way back out from the living quarters, we go left and open the door to find what looks like a research station, I guess. Heading left again, we walk into a room that has the same kind of brain scan station Munchie was using in the beginning of the game. Digging through the files on the computer in the room, we find out this is where Catherine was uploading people's brain scans to the Ark. Exploring more of the files in this room reveals there were some complications with some of the researchers. People believe that to complete the process of uploading their consciousness to the Ark, their real bodies had to die. This led to some of the researchers clocking out early, if you catch my drift.
Strasky, come in. I need help in the lab, the scan room.
What happened?
Conrad killed himself after the scan.
Jesus, how?
Maser tool? What should I do?
I'm gonna need to tell Strohmeyer.
No, please! I'm so close. Strohmeyer's gonna shut down the ARC project. It's not my fault people keep killing themselves.
Catherine, what are you gonna do? It's not like you can sneak a 300-pound body out of the lab.
300
No.
pounds? He's a big boy.
Catherine, are you okay?
There was no real rhyme or reason for them doing this other than the encroaching insanity they were all experiencing, either from the stress of being the last humans on Earth or being trapped in this facility so deep underwater. Either way, it was not a pretty sight. Accessing the main terminal in the adjacent room, we find what the game refers to as legacy scans. Legacy is a term used in computer sciences referring to outdated software or hardware. So these scans were essentially used in the training of future scans to be performed more efficiently. One of these scans is David Munchie himself. I found that to be interesting. You can't interact with it, but I did find that he uploaded himself, which feels a little narcissistic, but all for the benefit of science, right? The more pressing scan, however, is titled Jarrett. Now, if you remember, well, I actually don't know if I ever mentioned this. Simon's last name is Jarrett. Clicking on it reveals that it's Simon's brain scan from the opening of the game. His file is the only one with audio recordings. This recording reveals an interesting moment for Simon. Legacy scan.
Okay, that's it.
Wow, that was fun.
That's a relief. Still figuring this out, so.
It was freaky. So many lights. What do we do now?
Paul and I are going to run tests for a week or so, and then we'll work out a roadmap to your recovery.
Well, I feel excited. Can't wait to get back to the living.
What?
We've worked everything out. Everything is legal. Vouched for by Dr. Peak and Professor Way.
Oh, that's great news.
No big change in medication. You'll be taking an aspirin every morning, but that's about it. Paul worked out a diet with some variations you should try out. You can continue doing physical therapy. Also, there's some extra cardio training every other day.
Okay, getting complicated.
Don't worry, it's really not. We're going to keep an eye on you every week, so we'll be able to adjust the plan if needed.
Simon went on to live after his initial brain scan, and it is revealed that we're just playing a copy of that moment, a copy of Simon's brain from that one moment in time. That's why when Simon wakes up in Upsilon, he still believes he was just in Toronto. Unfortunately, digging through the rest of the audio logs reveals that the brain scan didn't help Munchie cure Simon, and Simon dies about a month later in June of 2015. He did, however, give Munchie permission to use his scan as a legacy for Munchie to further his research.
The model was sound. It should have worked.
It's not your fault, David.
I really wish things had turned out differently.
Yeah, me too.
I was supposed to save you.
Hey, you got my brain on file. Maybe you can put it to some use.
Yeah. Who knows?
Is he in a hospital? Why he died that quickly?
You'd be okay with that? Using it for my research?
Sure. It's like a part of me lives on or something. Like a donated organ.
Huh.
You know what sucks about dying?
What?
The crash. Everything up till now. The brain damage. You guys, everything. It's made my life so much more real. I started thinking about all the things I was going to do. I'd never been more excited to be alive. All that hope. Wasted.
The last audio log is also really interesting because it shows that Munchie and Simon kind of developed a sort of friendship, at least. Munchie even went as far to see Simon on his deathbed. You can hear the disappointment in Munchie's voice at not being able to save Simon. It's quite tragic. Anyway, heading across the hallway, we entered another room filled with hard drives stuffed into these rotating cylinders. Moving the cylinders around reveals most of them are destroyed, except for one. More on that later, of course. Heading back out into the main hallway, we make our way to the other door located in the big room where Catherine is. Unfortunately, we have to head down into the dark, because of course we do, to reset the servers to access some of the computers left in the living area. Heading downstairs, we enter into the server room and are met with our next, let's call them cryptids to deal with. Let's call this one Terry. Terry's going to be very prominent over the next couple of hours. This one looks like a strange amalgamation of researchers melted into one terrifying being. Dodging him, we make our way to the back of the room and reset the servers. Now all we have to do is make our way back upstairs, which means going back around Terry. After Terry chases me out of the room, I took a left to explore the other rooms down here and found out what appears to be a human fused into the wall by the WoW, which they don't look great, and if you listen closely, they're still breathing, so you can tell that they are definitely still alive. I want to go back for a second and talk about Amy. This is where I realized, kind of in the moment, that leaving her in the dark would eventually lead to this fate. This human fused with the wall. And going forward, I realized there is probably no hope for anyone else left on the station. So leaving Amy just to turn into this husk felt wrong. But there's no going back now. Being in this room also revealed to me that the monsters can open doors, which felt a little unfair. Oh, it can't open doors. What the fuck? Oh, he's really gross looking. Go, 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 go! Climb, 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 climb. Go faster, dude. God, if you're being chased, why would you move so slow? I'd be flying up that thing. After heading back upstairs and making our way back to the computer in the laboratory, we can plug the hard drive we found earlier to start the simulation. Uploading Brandon Wan's scan to the drive, we can attempt to get a cipher from him. This next part is quite interesting, actually.
That wasn't so bad. This trauma really got me worked up, bastard. What? What happened? Where did everyone go?
Don't be afraid.
Chun? What happened? I can't see anything. There's nothing here.
There's no need to worry.
No, that's a lie. You're
Oh, he's
lying.
getting stressed.
Okay, calm down, Mr. Wan.
No. Well, why are you doing this to me? I trusted you, Chun. I trusted you.
Did we just bring that guy to life? I mean, he...
Immediately, Brandon is on to the fact that he is no longer in the real world, and the stress put on his code seems to shut down the simulation. Catherine informs us that we need to find a way to make him more comfortable, to be able to tell us what the cipher is, so we head back into living quarters to find his room. We weren't able to access his room before when we were exploring earlier because, plot reasons or whatever. After Catherine unlocks the door, we can sift through Brandon's personal belongings to find out he had a romantic relationship with one of the other researchers, Alice. Alice was even present during Brandon's brain scan. Catherine says that's probably enough to go on, and she'll basically impersonate Alice during the simulation to keep Brandon calm. This feels a little wrong, but here we are. This works, and Brandon reveals the cipher to Alice, really Catherine. After the simulation comes to a close, we are left in another moral conundrum.
That's enough. We got what we need.
Is that what we are? Simulations?
Yeah, but it shouldn't make any difference. You're still you. I'm not sure what to do with the data. You decide.
I mean, this would kill him, probably, I would think, but that feels... would he just be trapped here? If I just did this, would it be better? Oh. That's a fucking moral choice. What would I do? What would I do? Would I want to be trapped in this machine forever? No, I would not.
Rest in peace, Brandon.
Yeah. I chose to erase the data because leaving Brandon to essentially be a ghost in this shell of an abandoned facility felt just wrong, and also this whole game's themes of existence, right? That means he would just be stuck in that one moment forever. So essentially deleting his code is killing him, but once again, I would rather be dead than trapped in a situation like that. Anyway, making our way back to Catherine, Simon ponders what the human Simon would have thought about him. And of course, Catherine retorts in her cold, bitchy-ass way.
I wonder what the real Simon would have thought if he knew about
Sure.
What do you mean? You do know about yourself.
No, I mean the real Simon.
And can you grab me another Celsius?
Going by your reactions, I'd say he'd be pretty upset.
After picking up the Omni tool, we make our way to the Dunbat. Interacting with the console in the Dunbat room, everything starts to power up until the Dunbat does... well, this.
Yes. You have a huge...
Oh, God. Okay, so the Dunbat was clearly possessed by a copy of someone who was once human. Once Simon wakes up from his nappy nap, we are forced to change course and find another way out of the room. Without the ability to plug Catherine into an Omni tool station, we are forced to kind of fly blind for a bit. Making our way through the vents, we drop down into a room with an Omni tool station. Plugging Catherine in, we inform her about the demise of the Dunbat. She informs us the only way down now would be to make it to station Omnicron and use something called the Climber to descend into the abyss. I guess the Climber is a sort of underwater elevator that's durable enough to survive the crushing pressure of the ocean. Exploring the room we are currently in, though, we find a prototype Ark, and Catherine wants to run a test simulation to see if she can discover how Simon and her can get onto the Ark. Before we mess around with the prototype Ark, I wanted to explore the room a bit and found something called a compound examiner. It apparently investigates structural integrity and payload frameworks. That's a quote, whatever the fuck that means. In layman's terms, it will scan Simon's body to reveal exactly what's going on with it and what he's made of. The scan reveals that Simon's body is one of Catherine's co-workers, Imogen Reed. Apparently, her body is the base, while a cortex chip was shoved into the base of her neck and fused together by something called the construction gel. More on that later. This essentially makes Simon a human-machine hybrid and less of a straight-up robot. This is probably why Simon is able to retain some semblance of sanity, unlike all the other machines and monsters throughout the facility. After the scan, I made my way back to the prototype Ark and messed around with the settings. This took me, admittedly, a little longer than it should have. But once I figured out that certain modules require others to operate, it was simple enough to put together. This apparently is supposed to help Catherine with the upload process for the Ark. After leaving the room, Simon and Catherine start making their way to Omnicron. Walking into the next set of hallways, we are greeted by, "Oh, hey, Terry's back again, guys. Yay, Terry. Hey, guys, Terry's back. And he wants to give us a hug." Terry scared the shit out of me because I didn't know that apparently he was a track star. After getting bodied by Terry, I snuck my way around until I was able to find something heavy enough to break a window in the previous hallway. Jumping through the window, we are greeted by a corpse because of course we are. This corpse, though, isn't infected by the WoW. Strange. And looking at the name tag on it, it reveals it's Brandon. Taking the chip he is holding in his hand, we have to make our way through the other side of the corridors to an office. After a couple more run-ins with Terry, God, I hate fucking Terry, we make our way to the office and update the chip. This, of course, kills the rest of the lights in the hallways, and we have to navigate back in the dark to the elevator. We do have a flashlight, but I was getting a little tired of Terry's accommodating nature, so I decided to sneak around in the dark. After repairing the elevator door, we make our way down only for the elevator to stop working halfway through. Opening the panel on the bottom of the elevator, who the fuck opens the bottom panel below them? We start making our way down the ladder when it breaks and we plummet about 4 stories. Waking up from another nap because Simon likes to take a lot of naps, we make our way up the ladder and through the open elevator door. Going down the hallway, we are greeted by, "Oh, hey, Terry's back again, guys. Yay!" I believe this is a scripted scene, as when Terry grabs us, it seems like a death animation. However, shortly after, we wake up in Simon's old apartment. Ashley is there. This is clearly a dream, which I found to be interesting. Can a machine dream? Who knew Simon was even capable of that in his current state? I mean, he's certainly been sleeping a lot on the job lately, so seeing this dream this one time was different. Waking up from the dream, Simon has to pull himself out of what can only be described as visceral goo. What I think happened in this moment is Simon was plugged back into the WoW like all the other humans found in similar situations. And the WoW is essentially providing like a comfortable vision to them. I guess it's good to know that the barely alive people are experiencing a dreamlike state and are probably with their families. Right? Right? Moving the opposite way from where we ran into Terry, we find a door that was previously unlocked. Making our way through the door, we find more of these comatose people stuck in the previously mentioned visceral goo. Terry really doesn't want us to leave his house because he spends the next half an hour of the game chasing us through dark hallways, trying to give us more hugs. After avoiding Terry's love bombing, we eventually make our way into a huge, flooded room. Navigating up the ladders and around to the other side, we enter in a room that has a pump to help drain the water. After fingering some more holes, we activate the pump and head out, only to run into Terry again. We run the opposite way down the hall, and the pump seems to malfunction because the whole hallway fills with water, and we're forced back outside to walk along the ocean floor again. This knocks Simon out, because of course it does. After Simon wakes up, we make our way to Omnicron. Walking along the ocean floor, we come across what I thought were underwater mines, but were actually cages to catch fish for the Pathos 2 crew to experiment on. Reaching the doors of Omnicron, we find that the facility is under quarantine, and the doors have no power. Following the power lines, we reach another building not too far away. In this building, we learn about black boxes, which is essentially a machine inside the heads of all the researchers in Pathos 2. It's how we were able to interact with some of the machines and the bodies found strewn throughout the facilities. While in this, I'm going to call it a power substation, some of the computers start acting strange. Flickering screens reveal the code needed to power on the substation and lift the quarantine. Making our way back outside into Omnicron, we find out the main doors won't open, so we have to walk along. Making our way back to Omnicron, we find out the main doors won't open, so we have to walk around to another entrance. One rickety passage later, we make our way into Omnicron and are greeted by a room full of headless corpses. Due to their black boxes being missing, we can't find out exactly what happened to them. Making our way upstairs, we get jump scared by someone or something telepathically communicating with us. Making our way down the hallway, we plug Catherine into an Omnitool slot and she powers up the station. Simon and Catherine start having a conversation about how they're going to get. Simon and Catherine start having a conversation about how they're going to move forward.
I'm kind of in a suit already.
That's been bothering me too. You know how you were transferred from Vancouver?
Toronto.
From then to now.
How could I forget?
Okay, so we do it again.
You want to send me to the future?
No, you idiot. I want to transfer your mind into a new body.
What?
Look,
Don't
we
call me
already
an
know it
idiot.
can be done. We don't need to make it a big deal.
It is a big deal, Kath. It's a huge fucking deal. There's got to be something else that can take us down there.
But Dunbat at Theta was the only vessel that could take that pressure, and you saw what happened.
Then think of something else.
Simon, please. You don't have to switch this instant. Just play along for now. If we find something else, then great. If not...
I'm not promising anything.
Thank you, Simon.
Walking into the next room, they find the suit they are looking for, only for, well, this to happen. Oh.
God. Nice. I found one of the power suits. There's a dead woman inside. At least I think it's a woman. Just like the body we found in the annex. She's missing her head.
Gross. This could work in our favor, though. Look for a terminal nearby, see if you can boot it up.
In order to progress, they have to find a cortex chip, which is essentially the head of a robot, structure gel, and a power pack. Leaving the diving room, we make our way back into the main facility and begin to hunt for these items. Heading back into the room with a telepathic jump scare, we can interact with the console to override the lockdown. This opens all the doors on this floor. After the lights kick on, we're greeted by something locked in the cage in the middle of the room. This entity appears to be phasing in and out of reality, which is never really explained how. Frank also did the same thing, and there's no like audio logs or like anything to describe how they were able to kind of appear and disappear. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess it's not really integral to the plot, so it's just one of those things left up to interpretation. About facing from the console, we head into the biomech laboratory. At the other end of the room, we can find the structure gel hidden behind a plane of glass. Interacting with the console to open the glass reveals the circuitry is fried. So we take the control chip and enter the next room. Here, it is revealed to the extent of what the structure gel can actually do. It seems to interact with any sort of machinery or humans and not only fix damages, but improve output. The structure gel seems to be alive in a sense, and I believe it's what made the WoW into the cancer infecting the rest of the station. My theory is that whoever was working on the WoW is probably just a normal, really advanced AI. And my guess is one of the researchers got a little too researchery and injected the AI with the structure gel. I think evolving it essentially, but also creating this. After using a little bit of the structure gel to fix the control chip, we plug it back into the machine and pick up a vial of the substance. Heading back into the main room with the cage, we make our way upstairs. Interacting with the console lifts the lockdown on the upper floor, and we move into the power room, hopefully to retrieve the power pack. Walking into this room, the screen starts doing its weird, glitchy thing again. And, at this point, I've learned that it indicates that there's a monster in here. Moving to the other end of the room, we run into this thing. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Oh, God! After getting attacked, we wake up, because Simon likes to sleep a lot, and the monster has moved to the other end of the room, towards the entrance. Picking up the power pack, we have to essentially bait him away from the door and stealthily make our way back. This monster is probably one of the coolest designs I'd seen so far. It appears to be at least somewhat passive until you get pretty close to it, and then it lets out that horrifying scream. Lighting up its upper torso and head, this thing will chase you around the room, and it is fast. I mean, a lot of the monsters are fast, but this one turning around and seeing it chase after me like that was terrifying. Digging through some of the audio files in the station, we learned that the monster trapped in the cage on the middle floor was a Dr. Johann Ross. Apparently, he was found dead on the climber elevator from mysterious purposes. It is alluded that he was the main creator, researcher, whatever of the WoW. After his death, the WoW started mourning him. Something the scientists thought shouldn't be possible. I mean, it's an AI, right? This is probably why the WoW started aggressively taking over the station. Mourning its creator, friend, whatever Ross was to it, may have been the reason why we see it trying to keep everyone alive. Alive is a strong word, but I digress. It could also be why Amy said earlier in the game that it doesn't allow anyone to die. Ironically enough, it seems the WoW was overloading everyone's black boxes, and that's why there's so many headless corpses on this station. It wanted access to Ross's body, but the researchers refused to open the cage. Looking at Ross in the cage, it seems it got what it wanted anyway. Making our way to the lower part of the station, we come across the Cortex chip. Simple enough puzzle, but what I wanted to point out was the body down the hall. Holy shit. Whoa, what the fuck? Weird. And I thought it was one of the cooler parts of like this game was seeing that like essentially a computer in its chest. This researcher appears to be in the late stage WoW transformation. Is that what happened to the monster back in the power pack room? Questions, questions, and questions. Speaking of the monster from the power pack room, we have everything we need to make a new body for ourselves out of the power suit. As we are making our way back down to the diving room, well, this happens. Oh, fucking course. Nope. Nope. No, 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 no.
Shut the door, Cat. Lock it up.
What's happening?
Pretty sure that was the monster from the power pack room. After slapping the Cortex chip into the spine of Rayleigh Herber, we attach the power pack and pour on the structure gel. This makes the suit stable enough for the system to calibrate it, giving us a new fresh body to jump into. Simon is starting to have second thoughts, though, and Catherine is being her colorful self about it. She informs us in order to make the transfer, we have to sit in another pilot seat, which is just the station Munchie put us in the beginning of the game. Getting the frequency right and sitting down transfers us to the power suit, sitting in the other room. At first, all seems normal, until you hear what sounds like Simon talking. Not you, Simon, but another Simon? The realization dawned on me pretty quick. Catherine lied. Shocker, I know. Instead of doing a direct consciousness transfer, Catherine created another copy of Simon and uploaded that to the power suit. Effectively, there are now two Simons running around at the same time. As you expect, Simon is not very happy about that. This brings us to what I think is one of the more interesting choices in the game. Catherine, in all of her sociopathic wisdom, just wants us to leave Simon 2 here. Yes, I'm calling him Simon 2 because that's technically what he is. For him to wake up alone and trapped in this fucked up place. Simon suggests that they effectively kill him because that's just way too cruel. Catherine sets up a program that would drain the previous Simon's batteries. My words in the moment sum it up best.
A while, a few days.
And then what? Wake up in this fucking nightmare again? All alone?
God damn.
What do you want me to do with him? Make friends? Let him know that we have to leave him behind when we go into the abyss?
What if he didn't need to wake up?
You do that?
I don't know. Maybe.
I can't just leave.
There. I set it up for you. Hit the switch if you want to drain his battery. He'll die within a minute. I'd rather not stay plugged in any longer.
Oh no, you're sitting through this with me. I'm not leaving him to just fucking be here alone. Wake up, just be stuck with these monsters. Fuck that. I'm here, buddy. I'm here. After watching Simon 2 die, Simon 3 heads out the airlock and onto the climber. I'm just going to call him Simon again from now on until we eventually talk about Simon 2, 3, and 1 later in the video, but for now he's just going to be Simon again. Such a weird sentence to say, I know. Making our way to the elevator seat, well, I'm just going to let this play.
Take a seat and we'll be off.
Have we figured out what happens when we die yet? Is that even possible? If there's some kind of afterlife, do you think my place is taken? The real me died like 100 years ago. Is there still room for me? And what about the Simon I killed at Omicron? What do you think, Catherine? Is there a heaven full of redundant copies of the same people? Is there someone up there who called me an imposter? It's dumb luck, right? And I woke up in the right body. I basically flipped a coin, and
The
if I had called the
deep
wrong side,
world.
I'd be rotting away at Omicron. I mean, there's nowhere to know, right? You didn't hit the make sure Simon wakes up in the right body switch, did you? Not that you would know. I mean, he would still claim to be the right Simon. Christ. This is awful. We did an awful fucking thing. And you wouldn't mind? Why would you? How could you know that it's not me, the me that I am, the same that I've always been? Please say something. I don't want to think. Please.
I don't know what to say. I don't want to upset you.
Say anything.
When I was little, I used to climb the stairs all the way to the top of the building. And I can still feel how I did it, tuck my arms so I could push the heavy steel door open. Well, the first time that I dared go up there, I stepped out onto the roof and watched the smog rise and fall over Taipei. I got all the way up to the corner ledge and, I felt the warm wind in my hair and the sun was setting and the streets below were shadowed by the tall buildings. The people pushing through the crowd flowed like paint from an artist's brush. Street food vendors filled the air with aromas of all my favorite foods. For a brief moment, I felt connected to the world in a way that I never had before. It was the most profound feeling of comfort and sense of belonging I could ever hope for. I really never felt the same way again, but I went up to the roof many times after. I'm not religious, but I can see why people would be. The privilege of being makes a strong case, at least every once in a while.
Do you still feel that sense of awe? Even like this?
Things are different, but we're still here.
What's the point of going on? Everyone's gone. All the people still left are digital copies trapped in computers at the bottom of the sea. We'll never be able to rebuild or reclaim what we were.
Are you really so unhappy being what you are, or is this about the man who went for a scan 100 years ago?
Both, I guess. When I was back in Toronto, even the worst case, the darkest futures I could predict, they at least included my previous life somehow. I feel so uprooted. There's nothing here that I recognize, nothing that makes me feel like I belong. Even if we make it to the Ark, would it be any different? I'd still be alone. No friends. No family.
You could make new friends. I'm sure everyone would like to know the time traveler. If not, you still have...
This concept of death is an interesting conversation for essentially two sets of code to be having. Would Simon go to heaven if this body died? Did Simon too enter into an afterlife, assuming that one even exists? Simon makes up another interesting point. He starts questioning whether what they're even doing is worth it, and brings up a point that I did earlier. Is existing in the Ark even really existence? The people there will never be able to recover what humans have lost and will be stuck in an endless simulation with no change or evolution. I said it then, And I'll say it again. That sounds like hell to me. After dealing with a quick power outage, which was absolutely terrifying because the whole elevator goes dark, which makes it almost impossible to see anything due to the depth we're at now, fixing the elevator, we make our way back to the seat. Catherine has an interesting monologue here about what it's like every time she powers down.
Does time freeze when you're not powered?
Time feels emitted more than anything.
What's the difference?
I don't feel like I'm being held back or hindered. And I don't have the opportunity to reflect on the time I'm missing. It's simply missing.
Sounds like sleeping without the dreaming.
Yes. But generally you anticipate when you're about to sleep, and there's a natural continuation since we tend to wake up where we went to sleep. My experience is more like an ever-changing moment that never really seems to find closure.
Sounds kind of like a movie being edited live.
Sounds like hell.
I suppose so. I guess it sounds exciting, but it really keeps me activated to the point of exhaustion.
It's rough.
Could be worse. Could be a time traveler stuck in a body made from black goo.
That'd be the worst.
After Simon and Catherine kind of come to terms with their situation and each other, the elevator starts to malfunction again. The lights go out, and then this happens. No, 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 oh, no, no.
You did it. You did it. I will make preparations.
I believe that is Johann Ross, or at least the creature that was trapped in the cage back at Omicron. He mentioned something about making preparations for something. After Simon wakes up, we make our way to the bottom of the elevator. Leaving the elevator, we enter into the abyss. Everything before this part has been dark, like physically dark, but it is really dark down here. It is so dark that our flashlight can barely light the way anymore. After flicking a light switch, we have to rely on blue light posts leading the way to Tau. I gotta admit, this walk is probably one of the most terrified moments I have been in this game because, well, just watch. Oh, no, I don't know. Nope, I'm just not looking. Nope. No, I don't care what it is. I'm not looking at it. Nope. No. Once I saw the anglerfish file, I just fucking knew we were gonna run into one of them. Quick thing. Seems the WoW is also infecting the local fish population, which a WoW anglerfish sounds mortifying. Obvious foreshadowing. Making our way out of the building, we head back into the dark. I was so scared that I refused to even look straight and mainly just stared at the ground, only looking up to see where the next light post is. Entering another building, we have to activate a drone because all the lights going forward are either deactivated or washed away by the storm caused by the massive underwater currents. Following the drone, we eventually run into this. Holy shit, I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. Nope. I don't know. No. Yeah, no. Even listening to it now during editing, I'm shocked I made it through this section. Making our way through this cave, we exit the other side to a light that, well, it's just better if I show you. Nope, that's an anglerfish. 1000%. Yup. No. You see, just, no. Because I fucking told you guys, I knew there was going to be a fucking anglerfish, and here it is. Luring the anglerfish into the cave, we can make our way around it and back out the side it entered from. Using the lights again, we finally make our way to Tau. I have never been more ready to throw myself back into the dark of an unknown station because it has to be better than being outside in the abyss. Closing the airlock, Tau opens its doors and this station immediately feels a little different from the others. The hallways feel even more claustrophobic and narrow with less open rooms. I was still so distraught from the abyss that I didn't even realize the clear indicator that this was the perfect setup to be chased around as the hallways are so tight. Squeezing around monsters would be extremely difficult in this situation. Opening the door to the next part of the station would reveal exactly that. Another amalgamation of flesh is waiting to chase us around the narrow hallways, because of course it is. We will call this one Travis. Travis is kind of a dick, though. I really wanted to read some more files on the computer in the next room, but Travis seemed to be babysitting the hallways around it. After getting a hug from Travis, I made my way to the next part of the station, which appears to be another living quarter. Making our way through the rooms, the environmental storytelling is prevalent. We find multiple researchers in different stages of being transformed by the WoW, all left to suffer the catastrophic effects of an endless transformation into the monsters strewn across Pathos 2. It's a miserable existence. Exploring the living quarters, we come across a locked door to the infirmary. Interacting with the door reveals that someone is alive. An actual human is alive on the other side, and they want nothing to do with us. They think we're just one of the WoW monsters. Accessing the computer downstairs allows us to unlock the infirmary door. Making our way back to the infirmary, we find Sarah Lindwall, the last human being to exist on Earth. Probably. She's hooked up to a life support system due to some injuries she sustained making her way down here. On the table next to her is the Ark, the final goal of our mission. Sarah wants to die. I don't blame her, but it does come with its own moral conundrum. Sarah is dying anyway, but she may be the last real human left on Earth. Killing her would mean the end of all humanity forever. Maybe. It's a terrible decision, but one I would want someone to make for me if I was in Sarah's position. Accessing the computer next to Sarah, we can unlock Johann Ross's room, which reveals what happened with the WoW. Ross seemed to be the lead researcher for the WoW, recording the evolution of it. After the comet impacted Earth and killed everyone, the WoW entered into a state of dormancy, almost like it was trying to figure out what to do next. But then it started infecting the entire station. Its original purpose was to keep the people in the station alive by maintaining life support and power, but it seemed to evolve its own code and took that parameter a step further. No one could die if they were all infected by the WoW and transformed into something else. The WoW probably thought it was something better, the next step in human evolution, the fusion between man and machine. Sadly, all it did was create horrifying monsters incapable of human thought.
The pattern has stopped evolving. The WoW has managed to find balance. I convinced SSE Volcheck to turn off all external control systems, making the WoW our de facto caretaker. So far, it's exceeding expectations. Since the comet crashed a few days ago, January 12th, the WoW has dropped to a low energy state. It hasn't abandoned its duties. It's keeping climate and life support going, but it's been simplifying the pattern, redefining its protocol. The WoW has started to grow physically. It's not just the core chamber. All around Pathos 2, structure gel is bursting through the pipes and bleeding through walls. I don't know what WoW could possibly stand to gain from this, but I assume it is intentional. The heart of WoW has claimed such a large part of the core chamber that there can no longer be any question to its heightened awareness. Not only does its expansion suggest an unexpected understanding of space, but also its own physical manifestation within the world. The WoW is reaching out to every machine, every life form, to manipulate, to control. It's trying to help save its creators from all this, just like the protocol demands.
But really, what is good enough? Where is the line drawn for what is human and what is not? Would walking corpses do? Would a group of machines thinking they're human be acceptable? We can't trust a machine to know, to understand what it means to be. We have to terminate the WOW project. It can be done. I just need to get some help from Omicron.
Johann figured it out too late, and the WOW just went berserk. Tragic indeed. Making our way back to the infirmary, I decided to honor Sarah's wish and end her life. Leaving her to die slowly in the dark felt wrong. Killing the last human on Earth may also be wrong, but it felt less evil than the alternative. I made sure to stay with her until the... Well, goodbye. Yeah,
Would you stay with me, please?
of course.
It won't be long now. Just... What a crazy thing this was. Life. At least I won't have to turn 30. Hooray! Wish I could have died at home with my friends.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
You ever been to Greenland? It's very beautiful. Well, at least when you get out of the city. Nanook is busy, and yes, there's like 12 million people trying to get around, but it's a great place. Or rather, it was a great place before the comet ended it all. You know what? I prefer it this way. I liked Pathos. Liked my colleagues. Ian, Nick, Jasper, even Catherine. People thought she was weird because she was quiet, but she was cool. Simon, you still there?
I'm here, Sarah.
Don't let him die, okay? Send them out there. To the stars.
I would. What would you have done in this situation? Is there ever an appropriate time to take a life? For mercy? Taking her life felt right based off the assumption no one was left on the surface. But that's exactly what I said it is, an assumption. What if there are still people on the surface? Would they have ever been able to make it down to the depths to save Sarah, to save anyone left on Pathos 2? Would the knowledge of an existing human civilization on Earth change the WoW back to its original programming? Could everyone have been saved? These questions still linger with me today. That's the power of great storytelling. Most games would hold your hand and provide some sort of definite outcome for each choice. Choose A, you get A consequences. Choose B, blah, 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 blah. SOMA doesn't do that. You make choices based off of what you think is right and leaves you to fill in the reasoning yourself. That is a powerful but subtle act. Anyway, picking up the arc, we loaded onto the rail system to head straight for Phi, which was our final destination. Making our way down the rail station, we eventually are met with a dead end. Turning around, we run into Johann, who's yapping away and shows us a way back outside and leads us to Alpha. Alpha is where the heart of the WoW is housed. The hallways are filled with structure gel and cancerous-like growths that it's almost impossible to navigate through. Squeezing through, Johann keeps telepathically speaking with us, finally informing us of what he wants. He wants us to destroy the WoW.
Just tell me what you want.
I need you to stop the WoW.
The WoW.
What? How?
The enslaved protein slushing around your suit is the noose from which the WoW will hang itself.
What are you talking about?
As soon as I came to in Omicron, I tried to tell them to make the toxin that would make the WoW wither, but they didn't understand. They put it inside a cabinet. It was so infuriating. They needed to take it to Alpha, the fountainhead of the misery we created. And then the girl, she figured it out. She was going to take care of it, but the wow shrieked. They all died. You took the gel from the cabinet and made yourself into a venomous snake.
You're saying this toxin inside of me can kill the WoW altogether?
You are the snake, Simon. Now strike at the heart.
We enter into the room Johann was standing in front of and are confronted with the heart of the WoW. Killing the WoW to me felt pointless. There are no humans left on Earth. I say let the WoW have its existence. Maybe it can make some sort of future for its creations. Leaving the room through the other end, Johann attacks us and brings us back to the heart. As he is approaching us, the WoW bursts through the floor and instantly kills him. Sort of an anticlimactic end to Johann, but to be honest, this whole ending felt a little rushed, but we'll get into that later. As we head down the hallway, the WoW shrieks and chases us outside. Once again, we are back in the dark, but this time, the WoW is chasing us all the way to the orbital cannon at Phi. I made it all the way to the end without any sort of real drama, but right before the door, the WoW grabbed me and just held on for me for just a little bit too long. I'll show you what I mean. Leave me alone. I don't know. The fuck is happening? Alright, it's going on for a little too long. Alright. Alright. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it was maybe glitched out. I don't think he was supposed to hold on to me for that long, but he eventually let me go, and we make our way back into Phi. Plugging Catherine in, she activates the station. Ironically enough, with how close Phi is to Alpha, the WoW has barely infected the station. Most of it appears to be intact, which I found to be interesting. I don't know if it was because the devs ran out of time, but Phi feels a little lackluster. No real scares, no monsters, just you figuring out how to load the Ark into the cannon. One simple puzzle later involving moving some power packs around, and we find the Ark in a cargo room. Bringing the Ark back down the hallway, we enter in a room and find Catherine's original body on the ground. Interacting with her black box, we find out that the Ark team had made it all the way here, only to start second-guessing themselves right before they were about to load the Ark. This fear and tension caused one of them to do this.
Are you suggesting we keep it down here? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? Eternity among the stars, remember?
The people inside the Ark won't know the difference. We can just keep it down here, and we don't have to risk the Ark being shot through 5,000 meters of broken barrel, and then push through another 100,000 meters of a dust-filled atmosphere.
Will the casing stand all that pressure?
Well, the odds aren't great.
Catherine, say something. I don't care what you think. I'm launching it.
No need to be like that. Let's just hang on to it for a while and think about it. We can launch it later.
No, that wasn't the deal. We made it to save them. To launch it. Out there, it's hope. Down here, it's a fucking terrarium waiting to die with the rest of us.
Come on, Catherine. It's not asking much. Let's just think about it before we risk the only hope humanity has to survive this hell.
No, we launch it today. This is my project, my Ark.
It's bigger than that. Don't you get it? It's not for you to decide. We're talking about the fate of mankind.
Get away from the Ark! I'm taking it.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna let you ruin this.
Stop it!
Guys, calm down.
Get away from me! No!
What the fuck did you do?
It was an accident.
Catherine, talk to me. Catherine.
Oh, God. Catherine,
Did you say something?
it's you. You had an accident.
What do you... Oh. You mean Catherine. Don't worry, it's better this way.
AI Catherine is stunned by this revelation. She never thought the people she trusted would be the ones who would eventually cause her demise. I think we were supposed to have some sort of empathy for Catherine in this moment, but based off her actions so far in this game, I couldn't care less about how she felt. She is a cold, sociopathic menace that I believe honestly got what she deserved, but I digress. Loading the Ark into the cannon shell, we make our way back up and pick up the Omni tool for heading back out to operate the loading procedure for the cannon. Loading the cannon is simple enough, but before Simon can finish, he questions Catherine about how they're going to get aboard the Ark. Catherine says she has linked the launch sequence button with the uploading process, so they should happen at exactly the same time.
Okay, ready when you are. Just hit the button and we're off.
But we need to transfer our minds to the Ark.
We also need to make sure it launches at all, so I tied them to a single switch. Just push the button and we're off.
I don't trust you.
Here we go. No turning back.
Thank you, Simon.
Don't mention it.
It's an amazing thing you did. And I want you to know I appreciate it.
Time, 20 seconds.
What's the matter with the upload?
Just give it a second.
Thought you guys would have better bandwidth in the future.
Wow, I do not trust you.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7,
I knew it.
6,
You gotta be kidding me!
4, 3,
Come on, load!
2,
Yes! Fuck yeah, we made it! Woo!
As the shell leaves orbit, Simon is left sitting in the chair. At this point, I knew exactly what happened. It wasn't a shocker to me. She uploaded a copy of themselves onto the Ark, leaving Simon 3 and Catherine back at Pathos 2. Honestly, I don't know why Simon was so shocked by this. 1, because Catherine is a bitch, and 2, this is exactly the same scenario that happened with Simon 2. It's a sad but expected ending for Simon 3. As the game fades to black, Simon is left pleading to not be left alone. But it's too late.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah, dude, you knew
Catherine?
that was gonna happen.
Catherine!
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No. We were getting on the Ark. I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Because you knew that's how it worked.
Simon, I can't keep
Yeah.
it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
No, this is bullshit. We came all this way. We launched the Ark.
I know it sucks, but our copies are up there. Catherine and Simon are both safe on the Ark. Be happy for them.
Are you crazy? We're gonna die down here with those fuckers living at large on a spaceship. They're not us. They're not us.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Simon. I'm proud of what we did. We made sure that something of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history survived, that something lives on.
No, fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck you, Catherine, you lied! And I believed in you, I trusted you! You said we're getting on the fucking Ark!
We are on the Ark, you idiot! I didn't lie! I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance! You
Fuck! Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
After the credits roll, Simon 4 wakes up in a pilot seat. And well,
Whoa. Is this... Did it work?
holy shit. Simon 4 gets the happy ending he worked so hard for. After taking a quick questionnaire at the terminal in the Ark, Simon makes his way down the path and is reunited with Catherine. Now, the game doesn't outright mention it, but it is entirely possible that there are two Catherines now uploaded to the Ark at the same time. I wonder how that plays out, but we never learn as the game truly ends this time. The final scene is the Ark docking with the Pathos 2 satellite as it flies off into the cosmos. And that is SOMA. Like I said before, the ending felt a little rushed, and I don't know if it was because of the issues on dev side, money, time, whatever, but that really was the only low part of this game. This was a crazy ride of a game. The moral choices made along the way really forces you to think deeply about your choices. A lot of games just aren't made like this, and to be fair, I don't know if other teams could construct a narrative so ingrained in philosophy successfully. So I present you all the same question that began this video. What does it mean to exist? To truly exist? Do Simon and Catherine exist on the Ark, or are they just code stuck in an endless simulation on loop for all eternity? Would you consider that existence? For those of you that made it this far, my name is Petraxis, and I thank you for giving me your time and your patience. Please leave a like and subscribe as it helps the channel grow. If you enjoyed this breakdown, I highly recommend you go and play SOMA for yourself. If you pay attention to what you're doing, you might just learn something about yourself. Have a good rest of your day.